What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Happy Wednesday to all of you. Happy hump day. Hope you're all having a great week. We are here. It is the month of December. We are 4 weeks, exactly 4 weeks away from 2026. Boy, I still remember it felt like it was training camp just last week, and we were all saying, hey, the season needs to hurry up. Unfortunately, the season has not gone well for Kansas City, but that's okay. We are here nonetheless, and we are going to break down the game between the Chiefs and the Texans. Also, some big news regarding Kansas City's offensive line. Speaking of offensive linemen, a former offensive lineman had some strong comments regarding Patrick Mahomes. And also, we're nearing the end of the year, and the Chiefs have yet to do something, not on the field, but something business-wise that needs to be discussed. All of that and more here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. I appreciate all of you watching live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, and for all of you watching and listening later, also on Spotify, Apple. Greatly appreciate all of you guys as well. A lot to get into here as... Boy, the temperature is different in Kansas City. It really is. It really, really is. And I'm not talking about the weather. I am talking from Chiefs Kingdom's temperature and just the way people feel going into Sunday's game between the Chiefs and Texans on Sunday Night Football. I was on a podcast with Griffin Pock, and I'll share that. And I don't recall the name of the podcast. I am going to check on that real quickly. I shared all my stories if you haven't checked it out already. But Griffin, I was on his podcast, and we spent a lot of time talking about the Chiefs and the Texans, also some other NFL news and notes as well, just giving our commentary and all of that stuff. And I cannot find the name of the podcast, so I do apologize. I don't have that in front of me right now. Show About Sports with Griffin Prock. That's the name of the podcast. So check that out if you haven't done so already. And something I said on his podcast, and I said that on here before, and I've said it on social media, man, I was really firm on the idea that the NFL was going to flex out of this game between the Chiefs and the Texans, because the Texans, their record was so bad that even, with the popularity of the Chiefs with Travis Kelce and Mahomes and whatnot, I thought they were going to flex out of this game. They flexed out of a Chiefs-Patriots game. What was it, last year, if I recall correctly? A Monday night game. They flexed out of that. So they're not afraid to take the Chiefs out of primetime if need be. But boy, this is now a game with massive playoff implications. So we will get into that. I see you guys in the chat. See a lot of you guys commenting on here. We'll get into your guys' comments as well. Please join us. Be part of the conversation as well. I'll read some comments as we go on. And a reminder, we will have the Red Friday Q&A live chat. That'll take place Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time. Join me for that, and I will read all of the questions and comments that night on our live stream. So check that out if you haven't done so already. Before we get any further, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. If you want to go to Sunday Night Football, want to go to a college bowl game, college basketball, of course, going on, as well as the NBA, NHL, all you have to do is get your tickets from SeatGeek. That's where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, all you have to do is pick your tickets, and at checkout, enter my promo code Farzine. You will save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets at checkout. New customers can put in my promo code Farzine and save $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. All right. Brad says, Farzine, Chiefs and Royals to Kansas or not? I was going to save that for later, but since you brought it up, let's get into that right now, because this is taking a day. First of all, I don't know anymore. I really don't. I feel like the Royals will move to OP. That's kind of a weird location, part of the suburbs. The Chiefs, boy, it kind of feels like they're going to go the business route rather than the nostalgic route. I mean, everything the Chiefs have done has always been for business. The Royals want out of the Truman Sports Complex. They are 2 feet out. I guess you can't dismiss it completely in case negotiations, all of that stuff do not go their way and they end up having to stay. But we'll see. The mayor says the Chiefs are staying. He's been saying that for a long time. He's also been saying that the Royals will move downtown to where Washington Square Park is, which is absolutely laughable because Washington Square Park is a terrible site. If you guys haven't, go drive by Washington Square Park. You guys tell me. I've told you guys that area is small. Is that really a place that can house a baseball stadium? I don't think so. But you guys tell me. For those of you who live in KC, go drive for yourselves. If you don't live here, get a friend you trust to drive by, film it for you. I don't think that's happening. But as you guys recall, over the summer, the state of Kansas, they did extend the Star bonds over the summer, and they extended it for a full year. But State Senate President Ty Masterson, who's also wanting to run for governor in the state of Kansas, he has made it very clear that he wants a decision to be made. He wants the Chiefs to commit by the end of the calendar year. And he actually said in the summertime, around July, that he expects an answer within 3 months. Well, 3 months has very well been passed on, and we're here now. We're in December. The year ends in 4 weeks. Listen. Kansas has had all these deadlines. Those are not NFL deadlines. That is a state of Kansas deadlines. Now, Kansas has a verbal deadline of, hey, tell us by the end of 2025, please. The Chiefs don't have to abide by that. But the Chiefs in June, they requested the state of Kansas to extend the Star bonds. Listen, I know, and that, but by the way, the state of Missouri approved of that 50% bill in mid-June. Because the whole thing from the state of Missouri is, well, if the Chiefs wanted to leave for Kansas, they would have done so by now. Why haven't they signed a deal to stay in Missouri then? I know Mark Donovan, and by the way, I did listen to the mayor's commentary, and I shared his comments as well. I know Mark Donovan wants to try one more vote in Jackson County, so this is not going to end in 2025. But, boy, whatever the mayor says and whatever the Chiefs say, don't ever match. The mayor says that there can be more done, and he said this recently on his live stream. He says there's more that can be done to activate the Truman Sports Complex area. Clark Hunt has said otherwise. The mayor also said that the 50% approved by the state of Missouri, the senators in the House, he said that's enough to keep the Chiefs and the Royals in Missouri. Yet Mark Donovan said he wants to try to get another vote to get additional funding from the county and the city. So, listen, I know the mayor has been very confident publicly, saying all these things about how the Chiefs are going to stay and renovate and how the Royals are going to move downtown. The Royals have been very quiet. I know they just recently put out a monkey survey for people to fill out so they can get answers. By the way, I don't know if I've ever shared this on the podcast, but there was a survey, and I cannot recall who conducted this survey, but it was done by 375 people from the city of Overland Park in Leawood, which is it's less than a 1% representation of the city. But the survey was basically asking if they want the Royals to move to 119th and Null. And the answer was no, which, again, mind you, this is a very tiny sample size, which is why I'm not big on surveys anyway. I know with political elections, whenever they show the polls, oh, here's who's leading in the polls, but they never end up being accurate anyway. And I am looking this up right now. This was done by Survey USA. 375 residents from Overland Park and Leawood were surveyed, and the majority of them prefer the Chiefs and Royals to stay at the Truman Sports Complex. Again, 375 people. And I think I put the statistics somewhere on here. I can't find it right now, but it is less than 1% of. Okay, I now I have it. It is 0.001% of the population. You're not getting a really strong gist of what people think by surveying 0.001% of any population. That is not happening. That is absolutely not happening. So I don't know, man. I wouldn't like the change of scenery. One Arrowhead Drive is hologram, in my opinion. I don't disagree. But it's just, you're seeing more and more teams want to go indoors. I think the Chiefs one day will move to an indoor stadium. Is it going to be in 2031? I don't know. The fact that it's taking this long is pathetic. They should honestly have it done by now. Like, what's going to change from now until, I don't know, 2026? Because at some point, you got to start putting shovels on the ground if you're going to build a brand new stadium. I don't know. I mean, the fact that the Chiefs and Royals are taking this long, I think they should just both stay where they are and not even renovate. Just deal with what you have. Do minor renovations here and there. Both teams do it every year. But major renovation, no. Like, honestly, you don't even deserve it at this point. Just deal with what you have. I know the governor of Missouri was suggesting the idea of building a retractable roof. I don't know if it was a retractable roof or just a roof over Arrowhead. Given Arrowhead's structure, I'm not exactly sure how that goes. I'm not an architect, so I couldn't tell you how that's going to work. Maybe someone that actually works in architecture could explain that. I don't want to hear from some random person on Twitter how that's going to work. I want to hear from someone who's actually been in the industry to explain that. I know there was a rolling roof, which aesthetically looks awful, but that's just my thoughts there. But I just wanted to put that out there. We're exactly 4 weeks away, and the state wants an answer by the end of the year. They thought they would have had an answer by now. The state of Kansas, that is. So we'll see how that goes. Listen, given when the season ends, Clark Hunt is expected to do a press conference at some point with the media. Dude, I hope the media can ask some of the tougher questions regarding the stadium thing, because it's been going on for more than a year. Start asking tougher questions. I mean, get answers from, because what did Clark Hunt and Mark Donovan say at the start of training camp? We're getting closer. Well, we're in December. Those were in late July. You said that. What is the definition of getting close? It's almost like when Andy Reid, like in today's press conference, he's talking about Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor with their potential availability, which we'll get into shortly. He says they're getting better. Well, he says that about every injured player. Like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything to me. Make a choice, man. I don't know. It's weird to me. Those people just don't want the traffic closer to them. Yeah, and I would imagine, if they do move it to 119th and Null, which again is kind of an obscure location compared to the Legends area, you would need to do some serious adjustments with the roads there. I mean, listen, baseball traffic isn't awful. So if you can improve the roads a little bit there, it will probably go more smoothly, but I don't know. How about this question? What will it take to get you to stay, or what will it take to get you to go? Actually, a good question. Yeah, it's a great question. I had to think about that one. I had to sit on that for a second, but that's a great question. Now, part of it is they said they're waiting to see what the Royals are going to do. Because if the Royals do officially decide to leave, which they seem to be 99% out, that allows them to kind of do something. Maybe they can turn that Royal Stadium into more parking lots or an activity zone. I don't know. Like, the fact that we don't even have renderings yet is ridiculous. It's been more than a year and a half since that vote failed. Make a choice, get it out there publicly. All these other teams that have already made decisions didn't take this long. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into actual Chiefs football, as the Chiefs are getting ready to play the Houston Texans, the best ranked defense in the league. And they've got a scary defensive front here. Okay. Got a question for you guys. Are you guys nervous? Not meant to be a trick question. No wrong answer. Are you guys nervous for this game? Because I said this in a conversation with someone on Twitter about an hour or two ago. And I said, look, this is the most nervous I have been for a Chiefs game in the Patrick Mahomes era. Josh Simmons has been placed on IR due to a wrist injury. That means he has to be out for at least 4 games. He's already been out 4 games for non-injury reasons, for personal reasons. Now he's dealing with an injury. And look, I know a lot of people are complaining, saying, yeah, this guy's injury prone. He dealt with a knee injury last year in college and now a wrist injury. Dude, Kareem Hunt went for a chip block and smashed right into Josh Simmons' wrist. Like, dude, I don't care how tough or how wimpy you are. When you've got a tough guy like Kareem Hunt that just goes into your wrist, what offensive lineman is going to withstand that hit? Like, his wrist got smashed between Hunt and the edge defender he was blocking there. I think it was Jadeveon Clowney. And there's a little bit of an issue here. It's like, okay, we're dealing with friendly fire lately. Mahomes on Rashee Rice, Kelsey on Worthy, Hunt on Simmons. It's like, dude, what are we even doing anymore? This is happening a bit too much now. It's happening quite a lot. Let's see. Some of you guys saying yes, we're getting a few no's. Okay, well, Joey says down 3 linemen. That gets me to my next point. Like I told you guys, I am pretty damn nervous going into this game, and I will tell you why. Not only are you playing a Houston Texans team that has 2 beasts of edge rushers in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., who are both, by the way, top 5 or top 10 in sacks, pressures, tackles for a loss, every key edge rusher category you can think of. This might be your starting offensive line for Sunday. Look at that. Your starting 5 from left to right is probably going to be Wanye Morris, Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey in the middle, Mike Caliendo at right guard, and Jalen Moore at right tackle, who struggled last week against the Cowboys when he filled in for Jawan Taylor. This might be your starting 5. It's not official. We still don't know what's going to happen to Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor. Those 2 did not practice today. But my goodness, the pass protection is not looking good. Like, seriously, I am already getting PTSD flashbacks from Super Bowl 55 seeing this lineup right here. This is not good. This is pretty, like, if Patrick Mahomes does not get injured in this game, that to me is a win. Like, no, seriously, I have serious concerns about Patrick Mahomes and whether or not he'll make it out alive in this one. Because you're going to probably have to do a lot of scrambling. You're going to have to deal with those edge rushers. So if you can find a way to kind of push him to the inside and let Mahomes attack one of the outsides, the left or the right side, not sure how you're going to play that, but figure that out. Maybe you've got a chance. Maybe. And listen, we've seen Mahomes escape the pocket and make things happen. We've seen that. Hell, in Super Bowl 55, he was running for his life and was still hitting receivers in the end zone, but Tyreek Hill dropped a pass on the opening drive of the game, and I think it was Darrell Williams who, on that miraculous throw where Mahomes' body was completely horizontal, and he found a way to hit Darrell Williams in the end zone. It just hit his helmet, and he couldn't catch it. So this, Wanye Morris, we saw last year what happened with him. It was Kingsley Suamataia who won the starting left tackle job. And now these 2 might be lining up next. Well, they will be lining up next to each other because you already know you don't have a left tackle in Josh Simmons. Esepole, by the way, was promoted to the 53-man roster, and he changed his number from 79 back to 70, which is what he had in the preseason. So we will see if Esapole might get inserted at some point in this game if Wanya Morris is struggling too much. Because remember, in that Bengals game, Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year, had his way with Kingsley Suamataia to the point where they put in Wanya Morris, and he was still struggling. And he struggled all year long to the point where they put Joe Tooney from left guard to left tackle. It worked for a little bit, but it became a challenge for Tooney because that's not his natural position, obviously. So this is, listen, the Chiefs, and again, not to scare you guys or make you guys feel a certain way. I don't like to tell people how they should feel, but let's be realistic here. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked at least 3 times in each of the last 5 games. And if I have the numbers correctly, he's been sacked 16 times exactly in those 5 games. One of them, he was sacked 4 times, excuse me. So even before the injury started to become an issue with Josh Simmons and Trey Smith, the offensive line has taken a step back. I know Josh Simmons was out for a little bit, but he came back and it's still been an issue. And now you've got possibly 3 backup offensive linemen for this game on Sunday night against 2 monster edge rushers. This is a concern. This is a huge concern for me. The fact that the Chiefs are betting favorites and this one confuses me. I mean, Vegas has to be trolling at this point. There's no way they really think the Chiefs are the betting favorites in this one. I don't care that the Chiefs are at home. They opened as 4.5-point betting favorites. It's now 3.5, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings. But man, this is a concern. This is the most nervous I have been for a Chiefs game in the Patrick Mahomes era. Now, Jeff Saturday, who I think is a phenomenal analyst for ESPN, has done a lot of good things for them, and obviously was a great offensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts. And I think he was with the Packers also. Let me just make sure of that. Was Saturday with he was with the Colts because he went and coached for them when they fired Frank Reich. I want to say he was with the Packers a little bit as well. Yeah, he spent the majority of his career with the Colts, and then he spent 1 year with the Packers. That's right. So Saturday made a very interesting comment on ESPN this week. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, something to the effect of how if the Chiefs miss the playoffs this year, he's going to view Patrick Mahomes differently. Meaning that Patrick Mahomes missing the playoffs despite 2 league MVPs and 3 Super Bowl MVPs to his name and 2 more Super Bowl appearances, has reached the AFC title game all 7 years as a starter. So far, very unlikely it happens 8 straight. He says Patrick Mahomes, he will view him differently. I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes' numbers right now. He's got 3,200 passing yards. He should surpass the 4,000 yard mark. He had 3,900 last year. Completion percentage is a little lower than it's been. Mahomes has been at 66, 65, 67% every year of his career. This year it's at 64. That's not awful, but it is lower than any other year by just a tiny bit. I don't know if it's even noticeable. Touchdown to interception ratio. This one's not bad. 22 touchdowns, 7 picks. Couple of them off Kelsey's hands, but listen, that happens to every quarterback, especially if you're going to throw the ball a lot. He does have more pass attempts this year than anyone else. That is not something I knew until this week. If you're going to lead the NFL and passes attempted with 441, boy, the offense needs to produce much better. And I think he's like second or third in completions with 285, which gives you the 64.6% completion rate. But these numbers are not bad from Patrick Mahomes. They're actually better. Last year, he finished with 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. I think he's on pace to surpass 26 touchdowns by, I think he'll get 30, close to 30 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to hit 11 interceptions in this one unless he just has a really terrible game. And look, he's got 2 big defenses he's going to face, the Texans Sunday and the Broncos on Christmas. I think he'll fall just under the 11 interceptions mark. So his numbers are not necessarily terrible. Let me ask this question. Is there any more Mahomes could do this season to help the Chiefs? Forget about the offensive line. Forget about the receivers dropping passes. Just focus on Mahomes for one moment. Is there anything Mahomes can do this season to be better? I think he's had two really terrible throws that could have changed the complexion of the entire football game. The pick six, 99-yard pick six against Jacksonville. I think that was the play of the game, no question about it. And then he threw that big interception against the Broncos. I think that was to open up the second half. Unfortunately, he got a great pass to Kareem Hunt that brought the Chiefs to the 2-yard line. Unfortunately, Juwan Taylor lined up illegally, so the Chiefs had to go back, and Mahomes threw a pick 3 plays later. So, yes, did Mahomes throw a terrible pick in the Denver game? Absolutely. But I feel like, I can cut him a little bit of slack there because he got the Chiefs at the 2-yard line. It's not his fault that his right tackle cannot line up, like, at all. And I want to get into that in just a moment because I had a chance to talk to Mitchell Schwartz, former Chiefs All-Pro right tackle. And given that he also played right tackle like Juwan Taylor, I had to pick his brain on that situation. The 99-yard pick six, that was just a bad pass by Patrick Mahomes. Was it a great play by Lloyd? Yes. But Mahomes, a 2-time MVP and a 3-time Super Bowl MVP should have been better about that one, especially when you're so close to punching it into the end zone. Yeah, Charlene's right. His deep pass accuracy could be a lot better. Yeah. And I think Max Shens are referring to that as well. Yeah, the deep pass one is confusing because it just seemed like in the past, in 2018, 2019, 2020, when he had Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman for 2 of those years, even Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson, part of that group, or during those 3 years. Dude, it just felt like Mahomes was money every time he threw it down the field. Was not always completed. He had a few misses for deep passes. Every quarterback will. But, boy, it just seems like he's missing a lot more. And, listen, I mentioned this before. Whenever the Chiefs are down by 2 scores in the fourth quarter of a game, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Colts, you know what I notice? The Chiefs actually play like they have a fire lit under their ass. Mahomes is actually going out there completing those big plays. Why is it that the Chiefs are able to make these big plays in the fourth quarter when they're down by 2 scores, but they cannot be up by 2 scores? This is frustrating. Like, we've seen some big plays there, like the one against the Eagles. Mahomes threw a dart to Tyquan Thornton to cut the deficit to 3 points. But he's missing Thornton like in the Broncos game. Broncos should have been up 14-0. They were held to 2 field goals. Mahomes on the first and the third play of Kansas City's opening drive misses Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy. On the Xavier Worthy miss, he had Travis Kelce wide open, but he wanted to go for the bigger play there, which is fine. I have no problems with that. You've got a bigger play, despite the intended target, Travis Kelce, being open. Yeah, no one's ever going to argue for going for the bigger play, but when you're missing on those all year long, the medium route to a wide open Travis Kelce is probably a better idea at this point. So I think that, yeah, Mahomes certainly can be better in that area. Now, is that enough to change your mind on Patrick Mahomes' legacy? I don't know. Like, that's a pretty bold opinion from Jeff Saturday there. And I know some Chiefs fans are saying, well, Brady missed the playoffs at one point with the Patriots. Yes. And I'm not counting 08 when he was injured and when Matt Castle played and won 11 games and, very rare miss of the playoffs with 11 wins. But for Mahomes, or Brady rather, he missed the playoffs after their first Super Bowl win after they beat the Rams. I think that was 03, because I remember who had the bye. I'm trying to think. What year was it? Because there was one year where the Chiefs had the number 2 seed. That was a 2003 season. Yeah, the Patriots did not miss. So the Patriots missed the previous year, 2002. Who was the top seed that year for the AFC? Tennessee was 2 with McNair. Man, that was a while ago. Oh, the Raiders. That's right. It was the Raiders. Yeah, they got shellacked in that Super Bowl. Now I remember that one. So anyway, my point is Brady did not miss the playoffs, and I'm not including injured seasons like 08 in the middle of the dynasty run. Did they have their struggles? Yeah, they went 10 years without. And the year where they finally snapped that drought, that was the year where a lot of New England fans were fed up and were impatient and wanted to change. So, listen, I'm not here to say the dynasty's over or anything like that, even with a playoff miss. But to say you're going to view Patrick Mahomes differently when, yes, he can be playing better, but in the grand, like he's not the reason why the defense has the worst third down defense since week 8 and the 5th worst all season. Like, you can't put that on him. You can't put it on him that Jawan Taylor's continuing to commit penalties. I mean, listen, the guy had the worst receiving group 2 years ago, and he found a way to win a Super Bowl with them. Like, Mahomes has put this team on his back many times. If Saturday is just mad the Chiefs beat the Colts, yeah, maybe. MC says, as a Texans fan, I'm glad I stumbled onto your page, your analysis of this game. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. You know what's interesting is we get a lot of trolls and comments, when the Chiefs are getting ready for games. But as far as like the live viewers, the opposing fans are a lot nicer during the live streams. So I always appreciate, hey, listen, this is not a Chiefs page. I've always said everyone's welcome. So I appreciate the commentary, MC. And get ready to throw a party, because I think Houston fans are going to be happy Sunday night. I just feel like right now with Patrick Mahomes, is this his best season? No. Far from it. And I know nothing can match 2018 and a couple of other seasons he's had. But I will say this, and I think that this is just overall offensively speaking. What do we hear in the offseason? The deep pass is coming back. Okay, where is it? Because Mahomes is missing on those. He's got Tyquan and Worthy missing. Every now and then he'll hit a big one to Tyquan or to Hollywood. And where is that right now? Because you can't sit here and tell me, oh, Worthy and Rice were missing. Tyquan and Hollywood did just fine earlier on in the season without those two. You can't point to Mahomes and say he's part of the problem, unlike Lamar Jackson. You can point to him and truthfully say he's one of the problems. I agree. Yeah, listen, when you are 6-6, listen, they've invested more money than anyone on this offensive line with Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Jawan Taylor, Jalen Moore, 2 offensive linemen. They're not making a lot of money, but you have a second-round guard and a first-round left tackle. Like, you're investing a lot of money in draft picks, high draft picks on that offensive line. And they've allowed 3+ sacks each of the last 5 games. Somebody commented and said Mahomes is going to get sacked 10 times in this game. I said, really? Only 10? Only 10? Okay. It could be worse. Could be worse. So yeah, I mean, listen, when you're 6-6 and you have all this talent on this team, there are a lot of people who have to bear responsibility. Brett Veach has to bear responsibility. Ownership has to bear responsibility. The coach, Andy Reid, and the coordinators, Patrick Mahomes. Here's my thing, though. Are they going to make any adjustments in the offseason, whether they make the playoffs or not? Because what did the Chiefs do after losing the AFC Championship to New England? They fired their defensive coordinator. Why? Because they had the second most yards given up, even though they co-led the league in sacks that year. Part of it was because they played a shit ton of more defensive snaps than almost any other team. They just kept allowing a bunch of yards. Brady was 3 of 3 on 3rd and long in overtime. And I know defenses get worn out in overtime, but they were 13 of 19 on 3rd down conversions against the Chiefs in that game. But where am I going with this? Just because you make the playoffs doesn't mean your coaches have full job security here. Like the team the Chiefs are about to play, the Texans, they fired their offensive coordinator, not right away. I think it was about a week after they lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round. They fired Bobby Slowick, and now he is with the Miami Dolphins as like a senior offensive assistant here. So even though they made it to the playoffs, and I know CJ Stroud had a big step back from his rookie year to his second year, which was kind of a surprise to me, but they made that change. Matt Nagy's got to go after this season. Because, again, I've said this many times, and I will continue to say it until there's a change. 2023, Matt Nagy's first year back as the offensive coordinator, he dealt with the drops. And I don't think Nagy did a good job of addressing it because it was happening all year long with almost all your receivers. Then in 2024, what was the excuse? Okay, well, you lost Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown. All three of them had long-term injuries. And you also had 2 really horrible offensive tackles. Okay. All right. Fine. I can give you a pass there. But even though Josh Simmons missed 4 games due to personal reasons, and Trey Smith, I know, has missed a little bit of time as well, you've still had this offensive line for the majority of the season. And I do think the offensive line is better from last year. But recently, they're starting to show shades of last year. And the receivers, this wide receiver trio of Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, we were wondering, will we ever see this trio? And we finally did. And they're not living up to the hype. So what's the excuse now? And listen, we know Andy Reid is very loyal. So is he going to make a change with offensive coordinator and special teams? I don't know. Listen, I know the defense has been a liability this year on 3rd down, where that's where they used to be automatic. But I'm not ready to fire, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator in NFL history. Dick LeBeau, Romeo Crennel, they're up there as well. But, man, Spags has won 4 Super Bowls as a DC. I'm not ready for that guy to get canned for one bad year. Nagy has had issues with the offense for a while. And listen, the offense actually isn't bad statistically speaking. They're great in a lot of categories. But they're just, like, on paper, yes. The Chiefs, and I'm going to pull the numbers up real quickly just to be accurate here. The Chiefs are doing a lot of good things on the field, offensively speaking. Let's see, they're 5th in total offense, yards per game. They're 9th in points per game. They're 9th in 3rd down conversion, number 1 in 4th down conversion, 10th in red zone scoring. It doesn't feel that way, to be honest with you. The rushing game, yeah, that needs work. That's 15th. It's not awful. Some of it is Patrick Mahomes making things happen with his feet. The passing game, surprisingly 2nd. It doesn't feel that way to me, though. It really doesn't. And I feel like that's why you've got to make a change with Nagy in the offseason. Only stats that matter are win-losses. I agree. And listen, you saw that last year. I know the Chiefs kept saying, hey, we're not in the business of making things look pretty because they had a lot of ugly wins. Listen, the Chiefs have had ugly wins even before last year. In 2022, they had a lot of ugly wins against bad teams. Guess what? They won Super Bowl 57 that year. So, listen, I think Nagy has had plenty of opportunities to prove himself. And I know the big thing is Mahomes has a great relationship with Nagy. They went to high school football games to go support Nagy's son. Eric Bieniemy did not have that relationship with Mahomes. Cool. Like, I'm glad Mahomes and Nagy are buds. When it comes to football, coaching, and player relationships, I don't give a shit about that stuff. I want the coaches to hold guys accountable. Matt Nagy is not holding guys accountable. Why am I saying that? How do I know that? Because the same mistakes keep happening over and over again. And I know on Travis Kelce's podcast, which came out today, and Travis Kelce even said it, but we're hearing the same things over and over again. Kelsey was saying, I know everyone's sick of hearing us say it, but Kelsey says we're a few plays away from winning a lot of games and potentially being the number one seed, which, listen, he's not wrong, but you can't do the what if game. You can't talk about hypothetically what could have happened, because what matters is what did happen. Andy Reid has said the same thing this week. What are the two things we hear from Andy Reid a lot is we got to clean things up and we're a few plays away. And then this week he has the magical quote of we're going to tickle your tonsils, which I don't know where that came from. I thought Andy Reid had an all-timer quote last week when he was talking about world peace after losing to the Cowboys. Then he had a new one. He's like, no, I need to top this. I listen to a lot of national sports talk radio, and people are having a lot of fun with that quote from Andy Reid. But and then I heard Creed Humphrey today. He said the same thing. I don't know if Creed Humphrey was just messing around with the media, but he said the same thing. He said, yeah, we're a few plays away. It's like, are players and coaches just doing Control-C plus Control-V in press conferences now? It really does sound like it. Who would I replace Nagy with, though? That's a great question. If you're going to ever suggest firing someone, you've got to find someone better. Chicago's having a really good season. They've got the number one seed right now. They've got a really good running backs coach. His name's Eric Bieniemy. That's one guy I would look to. Doug Peterson, I know, is available right now. Kafka, he's someone that's still doing his thing out there. As an interim head coach, we'll see if he gets retained. If not, I think Kansas City would love to have him back. So there are certainly options out there, guys you could even reunite with. Would John Gruden consider being an offensive coordinator? Listen, I know a lot of coaches, they become analysts, or because he's with Barstool Sports now. I know that's a different form of media, but still, John Gruden looks like he's having fun. Being an analyst is far less stressful than coaching. Coaching, for those who don't know, the amount of hours people spend coaching in their offices, watching film, all these things, game plans, it's awful. It is really, really bad. So we'll see what happens, but they have options. Joker says, look what Bieniemy's done with the Bears. I agree. Now, do I think the Bears will hold on to the number one seed? I would not bet on that, but boy, it's December and no one thought they would have it. Where's Kafka? He's the interim head coach of the Giants right now. And I don't know if he's going to get retained. I'd be surprised if he did. Doug Peterson's available. I know he was a head coach, a couple of different spots, got fired both times, still won a Super Bowl. So, and the Chiefs, had some success when he was the offensive coordinator. So we'll see where they go there, but they definitely have their options. Real quickly, I want to play this interview I had with Mitch Schwartz. I asked him about the team's record, and I also asked him about Jawan Taylor. Listen to this.
Obviously, it's been kind of an up and down year at 6-6. Given the talent on this team and what they've accomplished the last 7 years, and you've been a part of that as well, what's been the biggest surprise to you seeing them at 6-6 right now?
Yeah, I think just the lack of consistency. This is unfortunately just a worse version of the Chiefs than we're used to. And, you kind of are waiting for things to get better. I had that 3 or 4 game stretch in the middle to early part of the season that I kind of thought things were back on track, and just hasn't kind of held steady that way. So I think that's the frustrating thing, just the mistakes, the guys not being on the same page, not executing, doing things that are just you're not used to seeing of a Chiefs team.
As an offensive tackle, seeing Jawan Taylor, the struggles with the penalties there, what can he do to improve on that, or what can the coaches do to help him improve on that, you think?
Well, I mean, the onus is on you to get onside and not jump the snap count. I mean, you're going to live with holding calls. That happens. But the pre-snap stuff, I feel like that's very controllable from an offensive tackle's perspective. So it's frustrating to still be dealing with that and talking about that. From the coach's perspective, I mean, I don't know what else they can do. I mean, really, you either play a guy or you don't play him. So if you're frustrated, then you don't play the guy. But they haven't quite gone to that measure yet.
He's not wrong. I mean, he's committed more penalties than anyone since 2023, his first year with the Chiefs. And like I said in the Denver game, when the Chiefs got to the 2-yard line, his penalty forced the Chiefs to get back out of the red zone. So I don't know, man. It is really frustrating. Bleed Red Arrowhead says doesn't look like it for this stuff. Control C, RPO / shotgun running offense. Control V every game. Yeah, that's very accurate. Which I think even Tony Romo was kind of questioning that in one of the games. I can't remember because it's been 4 straight games he's been announcing games with Jim Nantz, but boy, and listen, I know people have their opinions about Tony Romo, but Jim Nantz and Tony Romo have basically lived with the Chiefs this year. 4 games in a row. Well, let me be clear, because the Chiefs had a bye week, so Nantz and Romo did a different game, but they have done the last 4 Chiefs games televised on TV. So they are very familiar with the Chiefs' intricacies and what they do, especially Romo being a former player, because players see the game far differently than us non-former players. And the fact that he even kind of questions the whole lack of under center play action runs, like, that says a lot. That really says a lot about this offense right now and just how stale it is. Even though the numbers say otherwise, games are not won on paper. Games are not won on the stat sheet. They're won on the field, literally on the field. And you're seeing some of the offensive woes. And I think if they clean that up, those numbers that I read you earlier could be even better. And that's a scary thought to opposing defenses. Yeah, the enemy is with the Bears. Yeah, a lot of people didn't, because the Bears were in Kansas City for a preseason game. Joe Thuney, Eric Bieniemy, they spent some time hanging out with the Chiefs during pregame. So, yep, that is where he is. Even though they got the penalty, got us out of the red zone, Pat could have still hit the target if you would throw it forward. I don't disagree, Jason. I don't. But it shouldn't have even come to that point is what I'm trying to say. And then again, another penalty from Jawan Taylor was the Kelsey touchdown. I mean, it was face mask, but if it was a face mask, I guess he was holding. It's like, man, you got to take him out because he's a liability at this point. Unfortunately, because you have all these injuries, you kind of need Jawan Taylor now. He was showing a little bit of signs of improvement in the middle of the season, like October-ish. But unfortunately, he reverted back to where he is now. So, yeah, we'll see about Woody Marks, and I'll get into all of that shortly. Is Honey Badger coming back? I don't know. I'll be honest, I did not listen to that interview with Kay Adams. I just read the quote, so I don't know if he was being sarcastic or not. Let me ask you guys this. Bringing Tyrann Mathieu back in the middle of the season, well, really in December, what is that going to do for you? I'm sure he's in physically good shape, but is he in football shape? Because that's different. And if he is, what's that going to do to even save your defense right now? I don't know if it really will. I'm honestly not sure, but boy, when we have to ask questions like that, that's when you know the Chiefs are really in peril right now. Your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. You heard that correctly. This is the first week DraftKings Sportsbook is live in the Show Me state, and it is not too late to get in on the action. Now you can make every game more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, my personal favorite, touchdown props, and much more. The best part, you can do it all from your phone, and it is safe, secure, and easy to use. Obviously, Missouri fans in the kingdom know about game day with the tailgate, the passion, and the noise. And now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that exact same energy to every snap, every touchdown, and every victory. And with this being the first week DraftKings Sportsbook is live in the Show Me state, I'm going to give you my primetime picks for week 14. Starting off with Thursday night, we have the Cowboys visiting the Lions, and I'm going to go with the Cowboys. They are riding high right now. They just beat the reigning AFC and NFC champions. Then Sunday night, we have the Texans visiting the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and as much as I'd like to pick the Chiefs, they've got some issues with the offensive line, and meanwhile, the Texans have a great defense. I think they're going to rattle Patrick Mahomes in this one, so I'm going to go with the Texans. And to wrap up week 14, the Eagles are visiting the Chargers, and I've got to go with the Eagles on this one, despite them coming off a loss. The Chargers have a banged up offensive line. Justin Herbert's coming off an injury. We don't know if he's going to play or not, but I think the safe pick here here is to go with the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Eagles. Right now, new Missouri customers can bet $5 and earn $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my promo code ChiefZone. New Missouri customers can bet $5 and unlock $300 in bonus bets instantly. That is with code ChiefZone. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, welcome back in, guys. Let's get into things here as the Chiefs are getting ready for the Texans. Couple notes here we did not get to last segment. I mentioned that Josh Simmons is on IR. I did tell you guys Esapole, he has now moved up, who had a great preseason for the Chiefs. Just fell short of making the 53-man roster, went to the Jets. He got cut, so the Chiefs claimed him off waivers. Did not claim him off waivers. They let him become a free agent, and then they brought him back to the practice squad, and he has now been promoted to the 53-man roster as Simmons is on IR. And if you're wondering who's replacing Pole on the practice squad, that is Matt Waletzko. So he is going to be on the Chiefs practice squad. I know that's someone the Chiefs were looking at a couple of years ago from 2022 out of North Dakota State. Can play both left and right tackle. I saw Nick Jacobs put out his analysis. More of a right tackle than a left tackle, but I suppose he's not going to play much. He's just going to be part of your practice squad. So that is, you got to find a way to fill that spot in, and that's what the Chiefs did because they had a lot of guys try out for the team, offensive tackles and wide receivers, and they decided to go with an offensive tackle. So we'll see how that goes. Brent says, how much will Dameon Pierce play? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I know the thought was maybe he'd play this game. I would rely more on the running game than the pass game in this one, but we'll see if they go that route. But that is something we'll find out in just a few days. This will be on NBC. Announcers Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth. The referee is Alan Eck. His last game with the Chiefs was the game against the 49ers, where Mahomes just struck that rookie defender, if you guys remember, when he was on his way to the end zone. So that was the Super Bowl rematch, and that was Brady's first game on the mic with the Chiefs, if I recall correctly. The odds, like I said earlier, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, Chiefs 3.5-point betting favorites. Started at 4.5. It's now at 3.5. They are minus 180 money line favorites. The Texans are at plus 150. I cannot comprehend that from the odds makers, but that's what we're going with. Over under is relatively low. It's at 41.5. The Chiefs Cowboys over under was set at 52.5 when we did the podcast last week. So that is interesting for sure to see that where it is. So we'll see what happens there. And by the way, big congrats to our friend of the podcast, Bill Moss. He is officially going to be inducted into the Chiefs Ring of Honor at halftime. He will also be the drum honoree in pregame. So I had a chance to talk to Bill a little bit today, sent him a text message just to congratulate him because this is his week. Maybe he can suit up and play defensive tackle again for the Chiefs. I mean, they really need some help all over the place, especially in the middle of that defensive line, all over that defensive line, really. But we'll get into all of that shortly. The injury report for the Chiefs. Let's see. Christian Roland Wallace, Trey Smith, and Juwan Taylor did not practice today. Everyone else was a full participant on there. I'm not going to go through the whole list of guys. Patrick Mahomes had a groin injury. Now it's a knee injury, but he was a full participant, so that's not anything to be concerned about right now with the Chiefs. The Texans, they have a few guys who did not practice today. To my understanding, none of that is really serious. Aziz Al-Shair, he has a knee injury. He was limited in practice today. Will Anderson Jr. is dealing with a chest and a shoulder injury. He did not practice. That's the most notable name on the list. Kamari Lassiter, who's having a really good season. Trent Brown, who's a really good right tackle for them. Woody Marks, their rookie running back who they got this year, dealing with an ankle injury. Those guys did not practice. Remember Tim Settle, who made that comment about chasing Mahomes and all that stuff last year? They did not practice today. Boy, if Will Anderson does not play in this one, that might be the biggest break ever. But I am not anticipating that to be the case. It does not sound like it's anything serious. Like, there's no way Will Anderson's missing this game. Absolutely no way, especially with this game having massive playoff implications. And let me say this. I know last year the Chiefs dealt with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter twice in December, a week before Christmas, and then they dealt with them again in the playoffs in the divisional round. I thought the pass protection was better in the regular season meeting against the Texans. In the divisional round game, not so much. I know Joe Mixon, he went off and he had a really good game against the Chiefs, that one. But every game's different. Every season is different. And right now with 3 backup offensive linemen and you don't have Joe Thuney to shift over, I'd rather have Joe Thuney at left tackle than Wanye Morris, but unfortunately that's not an option for you. So, yeah, he's on the injury report, but I don't think it's anything too serious from a Houston's concern, if we're being honest. Head coach DeMeco Ryans, one of the better head coaches in the league. He's been doing a really good job turning that Texans team around. I remember the Texans' job as a GM and a head coach. That is not one anybody wanted. DeMeco Ryans, he quickly built his way up. Former defensive rookie of the year back in 2006 with Houston, also played for Philly. He quickly worked his way up the ladder in the coaching realm. Started with the 49ers as a quality coach, linebackers, then defensive coordinator, and now the head coach since 2023. Nick Caley, I mentioned earlier, he's replacing Bobby Slowick, who got fired last year after the Texans lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs. This is his first year as the offensive coordinator. He coached tight ends with the Rams and also coached tight ends with the Patriots in the past. He coached Gronk really when Gronk was kind of coming up in the league. So worked there under Belichick, has a couple of Super Bowl rings as an assistant coach. The numbers for the Texans offense, not the prettiest here. And this kind of gives you some glimmer of hope if you're a Chiefs fan. Total offense 18th, rushing 23rd, passing is 21st. I have 219th. That would be a terrible ranking. Scoring is also 21st at 21.9 points per game. They're the 6th worst third down offense, converting 35% of the time. They do rank in the middle of the pack on fourth down. They have the 2nd worst red zone offense. So they have some good pieces on that team, but they do not do a lot of good things on the field as a group. And if you're the Chiefs, defensively, you have not been good lately. And this is a game that you've got to figure things out and turn it around and at least make it close. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm hoping for a defensive touchdown. Unfortunately, the Chiefs do not commit or force a lot of turnovers. I shouldn't say commit. Don't force a lot of turnovers. You don't want to commit turnovers. That's a bad thing. And that's been something this Chiefs defense has been lacking for a couple of years now. And that's fine. If you can do a lot of the other things right, stop the run, which the Chiefs do a great job of, force ill-advised passes, not allow conversions on 3rd and long, that's fine. But unfortunately, the Chiefs have struggled in some of those areas as well. CJ Stroud, he returned last week for the first time in 3 weeks due to a concussion he suffered against Denver. Even though he played for just a short time in that Denver game, he already got sacked twice. He left that game early in the second quarter. Hey, no CJ Stroud, no problem. Crazy thing is, after the Texans lost that game, they fell to 3-5, and things were looking pretty bad for the Texans. Davis Mills, no problem. Their 3rd round pick from 2021 went 3-0 with the Texans, filling in for CJ Stroud. He wasn't necessarily playing elite ball. Did some good things for them, though. 69 of 116, 59% completion rate. That's not great, not good, really. 719 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, was sacked 6 times. Those numbers, especially the touchdown to interception ratio, you know what that reminds me of? Reminds me a lot of Damon Heward when he filled in for Trent Green, when he missed, I think, 5 or 6 games due to a concussion in 2006. Kind of reminds me a lot of Damian Heward. So Davis Mills did some really good things, and third round pick as a QB hasn't panned out for him. Has been a backup, but the Texans have kept him around, and I think they feel pretty good about that right now. So he's doing some good things for them as a backup QB. And CJ Stroud coming back, not a great game, not a terrible game against the Colts. 22 of 35 for 276 yards, no touchdown. Did throw a pick in this one. 11 touchdowns, 6 picks on the season, just under 2,000 yards for CJ Stroud. Had a great rookie season. Hasn't necessarily been the same since then, but I think under that coaching staff, you're confident that you can figure it out. Been sacked twice in every game this season except for one game, the San Francisco game. He did not get sacked in that one. And again, I mentioned the Broncos game. He only had 10 pass attempts. He got injured early in the second quarter and left that game. Was still sacked twice in that game. Kansas City has not had a sack in 11 quarters. That's embarrassing. For the amount of money you're paying Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, no sacks in 11 quarters is bad. And by the way, when was the last time the Chiefs got a sack? The opening drive of the Broncos game. I say opening drive, so obviously the first quarter. They got a sack on the first offensive play of the game for the Broncos, and then on the last play of that drive, Chris Jones got a sack to force a field goal on 3rd and goal. So since then, the Chiefs have not had a sack. It's been 11 quarters, almost 12 quarters, really. The span of 3 games. So we'll see what happens in this one here. CJ Stroud has some good and bad offensive linemen, if we want to go over that real quickly. Ed Ingram, their right guard, great run blocker. They've also got a really good right tackle in Trent Brown. But their left tackle, Ursery, that is their weakest link on the offensive line. The rookie they've got there, he is tied 6th in QB pressures allowed with 34. He's also tied 4th in sacks allowed with 7. Former Chiefs offensive tackle Orlando Brown also has allowed 7 sacks this season, just to give you an idea who he's tied with. The Chiefs have not registered a sack in 11 quarters, though, so we'll see if that changes at any point. As far as our running backs go, I mentioned Woody Marks. He's on the injury report, 486 yards for him, averaging 3.6 yards per carry. Has a couple of touchdowns, a couple of receiving touchdowns as well. They use him somewhat actively in the passing game. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt's former teammate in Cleveland, has got 469 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging just over 4 yards a carry. Nico Collins, good wide receiver for them, did some really good things for them in the past. Still playing well. I know with no Tank Dell, it's not the same offense, but Nico Collins, 57 catches, almost 800 yards, leading the team in yardage. Just outside of the top 10 in that category, 4 touchdown catches on the season. Dalton Schultz, 59 catches, leading the team, 552 yards and a touchdown. They've got a couple of rookies who they drafted from Iowa State. They got Jaden Higgins in the 2nd round from Iowa State. He's got 4 touchdowns on the season, and also Jalen Knoll, who's also doing some good things for them in the return game. He's their 3rd round pick for the Texans. By the way, I did not realize the Texans have Christian Kirk. I remember when Christian Kirk was on the Cardinals and the Jaguars. This dude, in my opinion, has always been underrated in the NFL, but unfortunately, he's just not the same receiver he once was. He's very quiet now in his career. This is his first year with Houston, so that is the Houston Texans offense in a nutshell. Switching over to the defensive side, coordinated by Matt Burke. He's coached for 8 different teams. Was the former Dolphins defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2018. And in 2021, he was with the Jets, and he had a kind of an interesting title. He was the game management coach. Remember Brad Childress, the former head coach of the Vikings? Brad Childress had a couple of interesting titles with the Chiefs. He was the spread game analyst for the Chiefs from 2013 to 2015. And then when Doug Peterson went on to become a head coach of the Eagles, Brad Childress was the co-offensive coordinator. You don't hear about co-offensive coordinators in the NFL. You hear it with some college teams, not in the NFL. So when I saw Matt Burke, that he was the game management coach with the Jets, it reminded me of Brad Childress when he had a kind of an interesting title as a spread game analyst. How many teams have a spread game analyst? Like the Chiefs haven't had one since Childress left. So anyway, I digress. Texans defense, spoiler alert, they are really, really, really good. They're number one in total defense, number one in points allowed per game, 16.5 points allowed per game on average, second best third down defense in the league, seventh best fourth down defense. Red zone defense, that's kind of their weak spot. They're 18th in that category, but man, they find ways to not let you score, which is really what matters the most. Passing and rushing, fourth against those two categories. So they're pretty damn good. And why are they good? Because they've got two edge guys named Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Hunter's got 11 sacks. That's tied fourth in the NFL. Anderson's got 10.5 sacks. That is tied for sixth most with Nick Benito of the Broncos, who, of course, we're familiar with in Kansas City. These two guys, they are top 5 or top 10 in sacks, pressures, tackles for a loss, and forced fumbles. They combined for 20.5 sacks, 127 pressures, 26 tackles for a loss, 5 forced fumbles. This is like 95% of the defense's success for the Texans. And listen, it is a little concerning. Like if one of those guys gets hurt, you still have the other, but boy, you know what this reminds me of is when the Chiefs had Tamba Hali and Justin Houston back in 2013. Those two terrorized quarterbacks. They were 1 and 2 in the NFL in QB pressures that year. But I remember there was one game, I think it was against the Chargers. They both got hurt, and that game turned into a shootout. So, for now, they're still there. And boy, that is a scary, that is the best duo in the NFL, offensive or defensively right now. They've also got Henry To'o. I remember having to look up how to say his name last year. He's a big part of he has the third most sacks on the team with 2.5. So there's a pretty big gap between 2 and 3 on the team, but as long as they're all healthy and doing their thing, it doesn't matter. Sheldon Rankins, great defensive tackle for them, 28 pressures this year. He would have more if it wasn't for his teammates who always beat him to the punch. But he does a lot of other great things that don't come up on the stat sheet. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. They also have Azeez Al-Shaair. I know his name always comes up with some controversy with certain hits, especially the one on Trevor Lawrence a year or two ago. I can't remember exactly when, but he's an important part of that defense as well. And in their secondary, I mentioned Kamari Lassiter. He's having a great season. So is Jalen Petrie, their safety. Lassiter has 2 picks. Petrie has 3 picks. And then a couple of other cornerbacks. Kalen Bullock has 4 picks on the season. Derek Stingley Jr., he's been good for the most part. He's got 3 picks. That's actually their entire defense as far as interceptions go. So you've got those guys up front getting the sacks for you, and those defensive backs I mentioned, they've been doing a good job collecting interceptions for the Texans. 11 on the season. Not a lot, but when you're getting a lot of sacks, you can kind of live with not getting a lot of interceptions. Their special teams coordinator, Frank Ross, one of the best in the league at special teams right now. Been with them since 2021. Has worked a lot of different positions as a scout for the Patriots. Then became the assistant special teams coach for the Colts. Won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. I can't remember as a scout or an assistant. But at one point, he went back as a scout. So I think it was as a scout. I don't think he ever coached for the Patriots now that I think about it. Then he joined Houston in 2021. Despite the change in 2023, D'Amico Ryans retained Frank Ross, and you can honestly see why. They've got Kamari Fairbairn, 27 of 30. All 3 of his misses were from 50+, so that's not a big deal. He's very consistent for the Texans. He has the second most made field goals this season with 27. Their punter, Tommy Townsend, we do not need to get into him. He is one of the best punters in the NFL, and we know about that very well because he was in Kansas City for a few years and did a lot of great things for Kansas City. And improved as a holder as well. I know another former Chiefs punter, Dustin Colquitt, kind of called that out, and we saw that improve, especially in 2023 when Harrison Butker was damn near automatic the entire season. I mentioned Jalen Knoll earlier. He has the 7th most punt return yards in the league with 257. He also manages some of the kick returns. Another kick returner they've got, former Chiefs cornerback Tremont Smith. Remember him? Yeah, I think he started out as a wide receiver and then got converted to cornerback, or maybe it was the other way around. I can't remember, but we didn't see much of him on the field on offense or defense, but we saw him on special teams. He had a couple of solid returns with Kansas City in 2018. So this Texans special teams unit does feature a couple of former Chiefs and Tommy Townsend. and Tremont Smith. So that is the Houston Texans defense in a nutshell. All right. I need your guys' score predictions. Trade Chris Jones for Myles Garrett and picks. The Browns will never make that trade. Ever. No way. Absolutely not. I wish they would, but that's not happening. Listen, I think I know Houston's offense isn't great. I think Houston's offense will struggle in this one. I think Kansas City's defense will do some good things, but I really have concerns about the Chiefs. They have possibly three backup offensive linemen that might start for them. We'll see what happens with Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor as the week goes on. But man, I don't have a lot of confidence in this Chiefs team. I think there are going to be a lot of struggles on the offensive side. I think this is going to be the toughest game for the Chiefs offense all year long. Not because of Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson. They're great, don't get me wrong. But it's more so because the Chiefs might have three backup offensive linemen in there. Kingsley Suamataia has been struggling lately. Wanye Morris is not a good left tackle. Jalen Moore did struggle last week when he filled in for Taylor. Mike Caliendo, he's really struggled this year. So I don't expect much from the Chiefs offense, honestly. I really, really don't. I think this will be a close game than the final score might indicate. But I think the Texans offensively, they'll start to pull away in the fourth quarter of this one. So my final score prediction, I'm going 24-13 Houston. A lot of you are picking the Chiefs not to score much. Interesting. I thought you guys were going to torch me for this one. Brody says 2017 bleed red arrowhead says 12-9. That's an interesting score. Mekshan says 81-3. Probably meant 18-3. 81-3 would feel the same way, honestly. 2017 from Jason. Rob says 21-17. Yeah, so a lot of you guys think it's going to be fairly low scoring, not necessarily thinking the Texans are going to score too much. Yeah, I can certainly see that. I think the Texans will probably pull away, get a score or two in the fourth quarter when they kind of take advantage of Casey's worn out defense. So that's how I see that game panning out. I'm going 24-13 Houston in this one. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. I appreciate all of you joining me tonight. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends. If you missed any part of this, it'll be archived shortly on Facebook, YouTube, X. Also, the audio versions will be available on Apple and Spotify. Once again, I am Farzin Vasugian. Join me this Red Friday for the Red Friday Q&A live chat. Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, we will do the pregame live chat, so join me for that as well. We'll also have our halftime live stream. Postgame, it's going to be a late postgame since it's Sunday Night Football, but we will still do the postgame. We will have the link for you guys to call into the show after the game. So I invite you guys to come back, call into the show, and we will chat it up after the game. Again, I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I will talk to you all for the Red Friday Q&A live chat. Take care.